Okay, looks like we're live. So I'll switch the phone on silent. Okay, we're live. Thank you so much for making it. I know that people will come in as we get started. Today's training is all about community building. It's been one of the key successes for our business is our ability to create community around what we offer, and a lot of the clients that we work with, as their marketing matures, this is something that they get into. So I think there's going to be a lot of value. But if we can get started, we'd love to know where you are from. If you can just type in, say hello in the chat. If you haven't done so already, I'd love for you to say where you're from, the organization, your name and organization where you're from. We'd love to say hello and connect that way. And let us know where you're from. So if you haven't done so already, we share content on our YouTube channel. It's one of the things that we're starting to build up. So give us a like on the video. Share the video with your friends and colleagues if this is something that you think that they will learn from, and also have a look at our past trainings. Last month we did a really in-depth training on LinkedIn. We've done a deep dive into Google Analytics 4, and next month we are going to be going into creating content, like a deep dive on how to create content, which is going to be really exciting. So hi to City Point Christian College, Springfield Anglican College, Charlene. Hi, Charlene. Lovely to see you here in the video. Okay, so as I said, like and subscribe. So what do I mean when I say, oh, hi, Mandy from Perth. Hi, lovely to have you. What do I mean by community building? So basically, when I say community building, what I'm talking about is your brand building a platform where people can regularly connect with your organization in a organic sort of way. So um, it's tying your audience into a community where they receive tons of value, and they can connect with others in your niche and start to think of your brand as the go-to resource for information. And so, what we have to learn to do as marketers is just maybe take a bit of a step back and not tie everything into the end goal of, subscribing and joining us or paying for something, but it's more about how do we create community, take a step back and start to provide value to the wider audience. So community helps you to be seen as the go-to resource. So when they have a question, they think, what does Roberts Digital have to say about that? It helps you to connect the people in your organization, the staff that work with you, to others in the community, and starts to give your staff members a voice as well. And as you start to build community, you'll learn to take a step back and provide value. And so you'll start to address the needs and the questions that of your audience rather than making direct offers. Hi, Jane from Penrith Anglican College. Lovely to see you on the video. Great. So one of the things that stop people from building community, well, number one, I can say, is time. It's always the last thing that kind of falls on our to-do list, and we always have something pressing to do. So we have to find a sustainable way of doing this in our day-to-day, so that it becomes part of our marketing. And so when you're planning out today, we'll throw out a lot of ideas of what you can do to build community, and don't subscribe to every single one of them. Try to think of what can I do properly, long-term, sustainably, without getting too carried away with all the ideas. And so another big reasons why I see organizations and businesses not build community is because they discount the people that aren't ready to buy immediately. So the people that aren't ready to join or buy immediately, they kind of write them off and say, well, bad match, not a lead, next, move on to the next hot prospect. But there's huge value in providing value and giving to audiences that are within your niche, even if they can't afford to buy your services immediately. And we'll go into that. So if you give, even if people can't subscribe to you, then word of mouth is one thing that we've seen as an organization that spreads exponentially. So even though people can't buy from you directly, or maybe they're not in the right kind of, they can't pay for your services, they will talk about your services and what you have to offer. And so for schools, if you start to provide value and educational content to parents that are probably in a state school, trust me, when that problem arises where a child's not fitting in, maybe their friend's not fitting in, maybe you have a resource that can help them, they are going to be the first to point them to your school to help them fix that problem. Okay. And so, and also, uh, things change. Like what I've seen with schools is sometimes people will just assume, I'm going to be a state school parent for my child's journey. And they haven't actually hit year two where they have a problem where their child's individual needs aren't being addressed in the classroom and it's an inflexible program. Okay, great. Now they're actually in your market, and guess what? They already know how much value you provide to students because of the content that you're creating. Okay. So another reason why they don't build community is because marketers are so used to this attribution model where it's like, I can directly correlate the link clicks to the website, to the inquiry form, to the enrollment process. That's how we're so trained. And even as an agency, we've tried to take a step back from that because we see it damages our longer term brand, or the longer term brand of our clients. So we're learning to take a step back and say, okay, let's not just push for enrollments, but let's start to add value. And so in your marketing reporting, if you are backing yourself up into a corner because every month you're being asked the questions, well, how many enrollment inquiries did we get? Try to start educating your leadership team about the value of building presence and brand in a market that's not necessarily ready to buy now. And you'll see organically, and I wish you could just, directly attribute this, and some of it you can, but you will start to see an increase in phone calls and inquiries that aren't, directly attributable, but it's that noise and the presence that you've built in your community. Cool. So if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the chat. And if you are doing something amazing in terms of building community and you'd love to share a few ideas, just type it in the chat for us. So why is community building so important? Like this has been a strategy that I've consistently implemented in my own business and our clients' businesses. And it's when I worked in the roles in marketing, it was a foundational principle that kind of set our strategy aside from other strategies. And that is, we really want to own our audience. I mean, that sounds wrong, but what I'm saying is that we don't want to have to rely on word of mouth, which is great. It means that you're offering a great service, but you're not in control of that process. But we also don't want to have to rely on like paid advertising every time we want to get the audience awareness out there. And so the best way the way I describe that is owning your audience. And so what does owning your audience means? It means that you have their contact details, you have credibility with them, and you're connected with your audience on multiple platforms. And so if you have something that you need to push out at short notice, you have the platform to do that, and you own their attention is basically how I like to put it. in today's world, our services can change, our offering can change. And so the most sustainable, if you actually track large successful businesses out there, they're not focused on my product and my service and my offering. They actually own an audience. They listen to that audience and they provide what that audience needs at value. And so you can start offering them different things, and you don't have to so much worry about being tied in to this is my service and this is what we're pushing out. Cool. So audience, community is important. It helps you to stay top of mind. It helps you to build awareness for people that aren't ready to buy yet. So I as a marketer really underestimated the importance here of staying top of mind. I thought, well, once they're on my email list and once they know me, 8 months down the line when they need a marketing agency, they'll just automatically think of me. And I've learned that it doesn't actually work like that. You really have to be in the day to day with your audience so that they can think of you when they need it, so that you're on top of mind, they're top of mind. And I've constantly been challenged to increase that presence, increase the awareness that people have. And so the same goes for schools. I mean, we assume that schools are this massive decision, that people are very strategic about that decision making process. But having been involved intimately in that decision making process myself and alongside other people, I've seen how quickly people can change their mind about a school and enroll in a different school instead. And if you have a great offering, that's wonderful news for their child. That means that they've made a good decision for their child. But so don't assume that it's this like long-term strategic thing that people are working out and they have their comparison tables with the different schools. Because at the end of the day, these decisions are actually emotional decisions that people are making. So you need to be top of mind. Community building helps you to build your brand presence and credibility, and it makes you the go-to resource. Community building helps you turn your touch points into meaningful connections. Okay, so while every other school is going to just be kind of pushing out very branded sort of call to action content, you're going to start connecting human to human with these people in your market. It helps you to increase your connection value with your current families. And so it will help you to increase your current parent satisfaction, awareness of why your offering is so amazing. And it'll start to, if families are connected into your community, it'll also mean that there'll be a grace for when things aren't perfect. Okay, so um, there's a book that there's a negotiation book that I love, and it just talks about how irrational people can be when there's like broken communication. And so if people feel like they can't talk to a human about the problems they're facing with their child, they'll just make the worst assumptions about the teacher, about the school's intentions, and leave. But if they're tied into community, it means there's a high likelihood of them having discussions with you and fixing the problem, and actually kind of looking at the problem rather than blaming the school and blaming the community. Community building is great for referral traffic. Uh, don't underestimate the power of just being seen as an expert that's continuously giving value, and how much referral traffic that'll give to you. Hi, Melissa from St. Gregory's College. Lovely to have you on the live. And then, building community also provides value. And it's a sort of like marketing for many people is kind of an education process. And so in your community, you're going to start to share value, um, and that will be marketing education to get people across the line. And so it's providing value, and it's kind of marketing, without them realizing they're being marketed to, if that's the way to put it. So let us know if you have any questions in the chat, and I'll carry on. Okay, so the first trick to building a good community is to extend your presence beyond your website. And this is another area that we've had to grow and learn and adapt in. And so, as for those of us, that have studied more than 20 years ago, like we've kind of been like trained to always push traffic to the website. So Saskia is asking, can you give us an example of how to add value? Yes, I've got a list of different tools and things we're going to go through this webinar. So I'll go through the different ways of providing value. Cool. So yeah, so okay, just bear with me a moment. I just don't want to lose my place or skip anything. Yeah, so traditionally we've been taught that we need to send traffic to our website, and then the traffic from our website will turn into inquiry and enrollment, so that sort of thing. So we need to kind of step away from that sort of thinking. We don't have to send traffic to the website. I don't know, that's going to blow many people's minds, but this is the new way of marketing that's going to become even more evident with the integration of AI into our marketing mix. So people are essentially going to be looking for solutions, and AI is going to give them the answer to those solutions. So think about how you can start to spread your presence on platforms like social media, video, and extend your reach a bit without and also with reducing the ask that you have on your audience. They don't have to subscribe to your email list on the first go, but if they consume a 30-second video that's high value and impactful and makes them think, great, that's a win in the marketing world. Cool. So build your audience across multiple platforms so that people can connect with you using their preferred method. So often we'll kind of like, okay, we have our website and our email list and we're happy with that, but try to think of how can I stage it so that, okay, so they've visited the website, they're on my email list, let's connect them in with my YouTube channel. Let's connect them in with our Facebook page or groups or profiles. Or let's connect with them on LinkedIn, and try to start giving them as many different platforms that they can connect on as possible so they can consume content in their preferred method. So for us, email, a 40% open rate is what you can typically expect. And some people love emails. Some people are words people. I'm not. I say things in one sentence that other people will say in a paragraph. And some people have that time in the way that they process information to read long emails, whereas I'm definitely a person that looks at bullet point lists. But I'll consume a 30-second short on YouTube. So cater for those differences in your audiences. Another challenge is to start sharing ungated content. So stop asking for that email first up and test out the numbers. So take all the content that would be maybe previously behind a gate, a subscription gate, and start making it openly available on the internet. And so an example for this would be, what live event or what training events or community events have you held that you can take that video recording of and start chopping that into content pieces. That's very useful. And so the reach and the influence that content will have is way greater if you take away the barrier of them having to subscribe to your email address to get it. The next thing that you need to do is to share ideas that are worth discussing. And so, especially in the school space, this can be hard to do because we feel like everything we say has to be about our brand and how we're different, and how our approach is different and how our students are thriving. But if you just take a step back, like, what are the day-to-day questions that you can answer for parents? And it may be as simple as a lunchbox idea, or a parenting tip, or a person, an expert coming in on a specific learning challenge and how to get over it. And start to share the day-to-day helpful content with people, and content that is highly shareable. So and then another thing to mention is that I would try different formats of content. So and this is so next month's training we are going through content creation, and we'll take you through how to create original ideas for content, but then how to repurpose it and put it into different formats for your different platforms and audiences. But think about like a traditional blog posts. They're still relevant in them now, but maybe not so much in a year or two. So think about a traditional blog content, a shortened form of content, like a shorter content post of maybe just 150 words, videos, short form video, lives, shorts, reels, that sort of thing. And then also just images and blog posts. And try say this, use the same content in each of those different formats, and just kind of experiment with what works in terms of getting your reach out there. And so, as I said, this extending your presence beyond your website, it's a form of list insurance. It means that not only do you have them on the email list, not only do you have them on Facebook, if your Facebook dies, you don't just lose your audience, you have them on other platforms like, LinkedIn and Instagram, and YouTube. Okay, so think about list insurance is what I call it. Right, so now to answer some of Saskia's questions. So she said, can you give an example of how to add value? Okay, so I'm going to go through a few different formats and things and tools that you can use to build community. Okay, and so community doesn't have to be like a monthly subscription, although um, that is one of the ways to build value. Community is basically people that are gathering around your brand and going to you as a go-to resource for information, and also sharing ideas and starting discussions. Okay, so if we take a step back, how can we do that? So the first thing we can do is community events. And so community events gives you a great low cost call to action to start building your audiences. And it allows people to get value without a direct sale. And so whenever we are doing paid promotions for things like community fairs or community events, those registrations are always super low. And it builds community and helps you to own your audience, so that the next time when you do have something to push out there, you have an amazing email list and marketing list and reach and influence that you can tap into. So things like having the community engage with the organization, and it enables you to raise awareness at a low cost. So think about fetes and fairs, kids markets. One of the most amazing things that a small business in my area does is kids markets, where everything is owned, created, and run by kids. And it's not directly that they sell a specific product for parents to use, but they run this market and they have huge demand. They have hundreds of people coming to the business every term, and they raise amazing awareness, and it's a great initiative. Like, they're giving kids a space to learn how to run a business, and so the caliber of stuff that's sold there is amazing. And so this is an example that I definitely think schools should be doing things like this. It's building into their skill set, it's building your students, giving them a platform, but the whole community will have a great reason to come and visit you. Think about art exhibitions and opening up extra evenings on your musicals and dinners and events and catering events like that. So if you have a Mother's Day, often schools do the hard work in terms of running a Mother's Day breakfast and having their performances and art exhibitions, but they only make it available to current families. And I get why they do that, because I only feel like current families will be interested. But if you open it up a little bit, tweak the event a little bit to make it relevant to the wider audience, it could be a great way for you to leverage those audiences. And then also do presentations and trainings. So inviting guest speakers, inviting industry experts to come in and provide value. And so what you can do is, I would actually look through like Facebook groups, community posts of what are the problems that parents are currently facing, and then try to create events that answer those questions. So many of us think that we have to pay a professional speaker to come in, but you could sit down with your teaching staff and have a brainstorm about what is the expertise that they could share to the public, that would be great value to them, and just have an online event or an in-person event, and make that content accessible. And then you can test the theory of, do you want them to register for the event as like an online webinar, which would make it more accessible, or do you want it to be an in-person event? Or even better, you can hold an in-person event, record it, share that, and then create shorts from it that you can share, like short snippets, 60-second videos, and push that out free of charge to your different platforms. It's just going to give you so much more credibility with your audience. Okay, so think about doing things like that. Groups. Okay, so groups are like a more formalized connection point. I mean, Roberts Digital, we have Facebook groups that we build. It just gives a connection point to people, but it does take a lot of work to run a group. Um, and so, yeah, you can do things like Facebook groups. What we've even done is neighborhood groups. When I worked in schools a little while ago, we actually we created and owned a local community group, and that was a great asset for us to own as a platform for us to use when we needed to make announcements. But it also built community. It tied us in on a grassroots level. So think about if there's any groups, or is there a mums group for your local area? And if not, is this something that you want to start to build for your local community, like a connection point for local mums to gather online and maybe for in-person events? So have a think about that. You can do LinkedIn groups. Your newsletters, your email newsletters are also a form of a group if you're sending out valuable content. So think about your email list. And are you just sending out your open event registrations, every term, come to our open event? Or are you actually using it to build community and connection? Are you sharing valuable content? Are you answering the day-to-day questions of parents? Think about it in a real practical, what's going to make people want to open my email if they're not looking to enroll next week? Yeah, just take a step back and start building community and value. Another great little connection point that you can use, in last month's training, we did LinkedIn training and we talked about LinkedIn newsletters. LinkedIn newsletters are great touch point because it allows people to subscribe, to comment and interact and ask questions, and they get that newsletter to the inbox. So it's a great tool to use if you're not already using it. So ask your questions in the chat if you have any. And are you guys currently doing any of the above? Do you have any community groups, mums and bubs groups? How do you connect with your local community? Okay, so just going to give it 2 seconds if anyone wants to ask any questions. The next thing I want to talk about is customer-led community. So it's all great, if we're the ones pushing out content, but the next level is to get your clients and customers involved in helping you create community and content for you. There's often a benefit in a community member sharing content for your organization because they're trusted. People put down their guard, they don't expect to be sold to, and they're connecting person to person. Oh, lovely. So St. Gregory's College spends a day a month in their local shopping center. I think that's great. Shopping centers are great for schools. Like if you had to think about the ideal location, shopping centers is just definitely we yeah, definitely recommend focusing your advertising around shopping centers. So they have a pop-up stand for further information for the community. Wonderful. That's a great touch point. It's hard work. I've done my time dragging around pull-up banners and tablecloths and brochures on the weekends, on rainy days. But it is hard work, but it's really worth it. Okay, cool. So customer-led communities. So how do you empower your best community members to start becoming ambassadors for your brand? This is where you start to work smarter and not harder. And it also becomes more sustainable because if you are a personality that can delegate and trust and have take a more organic approach, long term it means that you can do more with your time and you can actually do things that wouldn't be achievable if you're just working on your own. Um, there are mums in every community that just want to be involved in their schools, in their child's education in their school. And so they'll step into the tuck shop, they'll come out on athletics days, they'll take photographs, they just want to be involved. And giving them a platform is great both ways. So think about group leaders that can build community for you, that can gather people. And it may be simple as having a parent lead a mums and bubs group, or maybe having a parent rep for each class where they can have a coffee, they can share on a WhatsApp group what's happening and message, reminders and things like that. They can help be that helping hand if a family is going through a struggle. They can be the one to initiate and give an example of the community behavior that you want to see. So St. Gregory's College says, I found in my time here, parents in the senior schools are letting their sons make decisions for year 7. How can we get the mix right with community when two different groups are making decisions? Okay, that's interesting that they're giving their son that choice. I think it's very much about community is going to strengthen that in any case because if they're um I'm just going to say students will go where their friends are going. And so it's getting on the front foot of that and making sure that there are communities within your student community where every child is actually connected and doesn't mean that they have to be great at sport to connect in the school, but there's something for them to connect into. And so think about ways that you can build meaningful connections with students so that by the time they reach that decision to go to high school, they're already in a community that they really want to stay a part of. So and that may be, implementing some of the same strategies here. There are schools out there that are doing amazing um, student-focused marketing campaigns to engage and connect students in. Okay, so and then also um, help parents to create user-generated content. So um, if you're brave and if you have the right people in your community, think about parents starting to do little short videos on what's coming up. It just makes it that little bit more authentic. I think, parents are so used to having things come out from the school and it's well branded and it's formalized and it follows the guidelines. But if you have a parent talking or on a short video about what's coming up, it just increases that connection value that they're looking at their peers connected into an organization. So for businesses that aren't schools, I know there are a few here. How do people use your products? The best, I've seen so many local stores build their whole business on user generated content where they have users of their product or service talking about how they use the product or service, asking questions, or they'll jump on a live and say, ask your questions in live, and they start talking from those questions and comments. It's just a great way to connect with people. Result posts, have mums lunchbox ideas. So even if you have parents that don't want to be face to camera, you can have them share like a lunchbox idea, or like a termly recipe sheet, or tips for reading homework. It doesn't have to be video content. Great if it is. And then also parenting tips as well. So Sarah Thornton has said, we run a program called Dinner is Served, which is run by school parents. They make a meal for every family who is struggling. That's great. That's wonderful. I mean, that's just going to build in those connections with people. That's really good. I think people come to schools expecting to join a school, and that's all it's going to be. And I've seen some really diverse communities where it just becomes an extended family. And when school is an extended family, it's so much better for the child's outcomes, the students' outcomes. It addresses, we love saying as a school, looking at the whole child. Well, if we're going to look at the whole child, we really need to look at the whole family and making sure that the families are happy and healthy and thriving. And if they're not, giving them tools to have a better family life. I mean, that to me is really looking at the whole child then. Cool. So memberships. So another thing we can do is low cost membership. So this is actually a way you're not thinking about making a massive profit out of your memberships, but it's paying for your marketing. So memberships pay for your marketing and your reach, and it's a great way to reduce your marketing costs. Think about things like holiday clubs, where students can sign up to do crafts and activities over the holidays. You can bring in external organizations, because I know teachers need their days off for planning and leave, but maybe you can bring in another organization to do holiday clubs that they pay a small fee for. That would be something that's great to open up to the local community. There are so many parents that are sick of doing the usual, after school thing during the holidays. And if they were provided with another option, that would be amazing for them. And that just gives your school immediate reach, and awareness in the local community. It builds your audiences. It's a great initiative, but it has to be run well, because it can be labor intensive. And so think about bringing in external parties to help you run that. Springfield Anglican College says, as we've grown in numbers, we're finding it harder to give those personal touches. Any advice? Yes, it is very hard. I'm not going to lie. And the thing to do here is to focus your time and attention on building leaders that then in turn go and build whatever you're trying to build. So I used to, when I worked in school, my whole time and attention was focused around training, looking after the culture of our parent reps, and then empowering them, giving them frameworks to take that and take it to their community and to run events. And so I'd provide them with events, like frameworks and SOPs, standard operating procedures, and they were trained up and invested in enough to be able to then start running and doing it themselves. But that does take a few years to build. It's not just one training session and off they go. Video training for parent reps, so that they can do that training. I would do that training yourself on video, give them a platform to kind of help you to scale that. Sarah Thornton, holiday ideas. We run code camps or robotics camps in the holidays for any student in the local area. Amazing. Like, I don't know many students who don't want to sign up for robotics at the moment, or code camps. Like, high demand. Okay. Any other tips? Let me just think about any other tips for making it more scalable as you've grown, those personal touch points. I think video, which I'll be talking about in the next segment is an amazing tool to have that mass influence. And so, and also like groups where, what I've learned in my groups that we've run is that people don't really want to hear from me every single day. They want to ask questions. Other community members can give feedback. And so where you create this group where parents can start doing the work for you, that's great because they're building a connection with your brand, but and they're sounding like you. They have the guidelines, but then they are the ones, your community are the ones that are actually building the meaningful connections that's going to tie them in and start to pull in other people. Yeah. The number one thing we do some church marketing, and what we've learned is the number one things that grows church is not like the next program, but it's the connection and that people have with each other that you have to work on, that culture and connection that's so important. And then growth comes organically from that. Great. So St. Gregory's College to Springfield Anglican College, we are a school from K to 12 with over 1,500 students, and we have been very selective with providing cohort events rather than the event being K to 12. Yeah, great. Cool. So memberships covers the cost of your marketing, as I said before, and then it also gives you content to share. So you can take short form video and share that um, openly. And then it also provides you with an opportunity to build trust and credibility. That's amazing. So the next segment, videos and lives. So I know it sounds weird saying, create videos to build community, but video is actually a great connector. People love seeing, especially people want to see a face behind the brand. They want to see different faces. I would encourage schools to try get bold and try and make content like natural in your organization. So build a video studio. You need a small room, some professional lighting, some microphones, different backgrounds, and you can start to make that a permanent space within your college and start to build it into the culture of how you do things. And so if you start having different teachers appear in front of the camera, it's just going to build that connection with your community, because often there's a parent will go to a school and they only know the registrar and their teacher, and that for me is not enough connection. And like you don't know what's coming up. So if you're in primary school, you have no connection with secondary school teachers, and that's what you are basing your decision on whether you're going to go to secondary school on a bunch of assumptions on people that you haven't met, people with amazing dynamic skills that you are unaware of. And so just getting that visibility of your staff in front of the camera is so important to build that connection and understanding of parents so that they can kind of connect with your organization a bit better. So it does take time. I think a lot of the hesitation is one, what if they say something wrong? And that's fine. You just don't post it, or you cut it out, or you do shorter form content. Another thing you can do is you could even give people a taste of what it's like to be in one of the classrooms and go film one of the lessons one day and create a short out of that, like a maths teacher describing a complex maths problem, or helping parents help their child with maths homework, going through the problem and saying, when you do this maths problem at home today, try, look at it this way. Try work it through it this way with your child. Definitely, I would need those videos. My husband's doing the maths education, so they have a solid foundation. So yeah, so address questions. Also, try to think beyond just your offering and address questions in the community. How do you address difficult behavior? How do you set routines? What's the right age? What's the right bedtime for different ages? What's a healthy meal? What do you do with picky eaters? This content is, and you don't even have to have. I think schools get so hung up on high production value sort of content. It's going to take a day out of your, week to plan one little short video. But how about you ask that question different parents in the car park and just say, hey, what are you doing for dinner tonight? Or how do you handle picky eaters? And sort of that more organic content. Try it out. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about is community partnerships. So, partnerships can be very valuable. Again, this needs a systemized structure and approach to actually win in the long term. And sometimes we can create a great connection and then it kind of dies down and we lose the influence that we had with those connections. But it is something worthwhile building intentional time in, maybe it's even one day a month to build intentional community connections and open doors for your organization. And I can't tell you how much free advertising we've gotten because of these community connections, because we had families that were just so happy with the result that they got with their student being in our schools and opening a door into new communities for us. So think about local sports clubs. Be careful with those. A lot of them can be a waste of time, but some of them not so much. So look with care. Think about real estate agents, providing resources to them so that they can easily refer your school. Think about local churches, visiting local childcare centers, providing like a free, maybe you can have your prep teacher go over there for a lesson and just say, hey, we're providing a lesson on, it's a skill that they will need when they start prep. Things like that. That's all. Yeah, that'll be amazing for them. And then also inviting in or partnering with experts or education experts and sponsoring them or doing joint ventures or joint programs where you can bring education to the wider community. Right. That's all I have to share on community. So for the marketing membership members, we're going to jump onto our Zoom now, which will be a Q&A and our paid session following this and a deeper dive into community building. So we'll be joining that Zoom call shortly. And also for any of you that aren't aware, we do have a monthly marketing membership. It's a monthly training on a big topic and then weekly support. We've had some really great chats in our weekly support calls where people get to deep dive into their specific scenarios, into how their team, the dynamics of their team, into the ads that they want to create or the campaigns that they're running. We just get to nitpick and go through those campaigns and really help them build out success. So if you're looking to build a skill in a new area, maybe you're looking at a new avenue of advertising, or if you just want general weekly advice on your campaigns just to lift it that next level, or maybe you have like a digital marketing question. I know there's a lot of technical detail involved in your digital marketing, pixels and setups and tags and GA4. If you need support getting all of that done, then our monthly mentorship is maybe for you. If you join now, it's robertsdigital.com.au/marketing mentorship. And I'm just going to double check that link here. The Roberts Digital, marketing mentorship. The link is also in the description. If you sign up now, you can also join into our Zoom chat after this call, or you can join our support call from next week. It's been a really great way for us to just really get deep dive. So the way it works is we have a form that you fill out. If you have a question, you fill out the call, we make a booking for the next support call, and we can go through your problem in detail. And it's been a really amazing community. And there's a 2-week free trial. After the 2-week free trial, it's $80 a month, and it's month to month, and you can join for as many months as you like. If you need help, I've seen a lot of people, for some reason, are joining and paying for it out of their own pockets. And I totally get where people are coming from in terms of not wanting to ask for training. But I really would just recommend asking your principal if you can get $80 a month training. It's really nothing in terms of what teachers get in terms of their monthly training budget, and just means that you don't have to carry that burden. and then maybe your team can also join at a reduced rate. So it's robertsdigital.com.au/marketing-mentorship. And there's a 2-week, if you fill in the subscription form there, you'll get a free two-week trial to start. And I'll see all the paid members in the Zoom call. Thank you everyone for coming along. I'll just double check there's no more comments or questions. Thanks, Sarah. Lovely to see you again. Great. Thank you. We'll end it there, and I'll see all the paid marketing mentorship people on the Zoom in 2 minutes.